Chair Eagleson Cheslowitz,
Present.
Vice Chair Roman,
Present.
Board Member McKinnon. Is Board Member McKinnon, I see he's on Zoom, but yeah. Oh, okay. We can't hear you. I see your mic's unmuted, but we can't. Okay. Yeah, Board Member McKinnon, if you can maybe leave the Zoom and rejoin, but we'll mark you as present. Board Member Pease,
Present.
Board Member Willis,
Present.
we have a quorum.
All right. Are there any agenda changes?
I got it. No changes.
Okay. And then is there any public comment on items not on the agenda?
No, I have no request to speak.
Okay. So then let's just dive into do you want to do the staff report first? Start there, or do you want to talk schedule?
Oh, well, I guess it's that would be a change of agenda.
Okay, so then let's not do that. Staff report.
We should have changed it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Apparently I am. Yeah, just showing how, we talked about this at the last meeting, how council was making the modification to our ordinance. And so now we have the regular meetings are once a month, and we have them on the first date of every month. So you can see today's the 11th, and our next meeting, regular meeting, will be August 8th. And then, of course, there can be, and there will be, special meetings. So for instance, the quarterly meeting that is not in the ordinance, we can continue with the evening meeting that we've done. And then if there wants to be a special meeting other than these dates, we can do that. And ideally those would be like the second. So for instance, if, council is doing the interviews of the members or the candidates on August 5th, and they're probably not going to appoint them that same night that they're interviewing them. And so on August 8th, we are still going to be with this group, and either Margaret or Mike can serve as the 5th member, because we are now a 5-member board. So that's that. Let's see. Then, oh yeah, so that's why I wrote down August 22nd, if that's the right date. Could be a special HRB meeting if the council appoints them, let's say the week before or something, and we can orient them. And then we want to just have a meet and greet. And if there's something that we want to discuss, that could happen. But that would be called a special meeting. And we have rules about advertising special meetings, which are 72 hours in advance. So it's a little easier for special meetings to advertise, as far as the lead time.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's see what the appointment schedule ends up looking like. Yeah.
So I think that sounds great, except the 22nd is very awkward for me. So if we could do it the following week in August.
Well, we compete with ARB for the same time on Thursdays.
Well, would we want to do it the same time if it's a special meeting and it's a meet and greet? And, it just seems like it might be easier to do an evening.
Oh, is that what you're saying? I thought you meant on the very next week on the Thursday morning, which would be an ARB.
Well, it hadn't really
meeting.
processed the time, but it just seems like if they're just appointed and they didn't have time to really do their schedules to coordinate with HRB meetings, it seems like that might be awkward for them too.
Sure, it's unlikely. I'm just saying that's an example of. Okay. Trying again. I mean, we don't have to plan it now, obviously. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but we'll see when the appointments are scheduled. They may or may not happen in August. If they do happen in August, we will be prepared to orient the new members and look for the appropriate date working with the chair. And then, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next, it's the same item, it's agenda item 1 still. We just wanted to remind the HRB, I think I mentioned this last time, that when we went on April 22nd, the council said, explore this, how we show the potentially eligible properties in our system, the parcel reports that people look at online and get concerned about. So I'll turn this over to Stephen, who has been researching how the norms of this. And so I'm going to present this.
All right.
Stephen Schweitzer. I pronounced his name Stephen Switzer the first meeting, so I apologize. But
Thanks for that clarification. Historic preservation, Stephen Schweitzer. Let's see here. So or should I say I've done some research here. There's the California Built Environment Research Directory, BIRD, and they provide some historic status codes for structures that have either been evaluated or say lack of evaluation, and they're designated with specific status codes. So when looking at other jurisdictions on how they've gone or approached, say, identifying these historic properties, these are pretty succinct, statuses that are applied to each property. So out of the list of, I want to say around 36 different statuses, I've pulled about the 5 of the governing ones, and those are what's shown on the slide. So number 3 in particular would be applied to each of the properties that are already on the inventory. So the other remaining 4 would be applied, say, if a property has been evaluated and it's not eligible for listing or designation. And number 5 is of particular interest, which would, in a sense, replace the potentially eligible status. So that's either not evaluated for the National Register or the California Register and may need evaluation. So that would kind of clear up some of the confusion here. Obviously, this needs to be fleshed out a little bit further. So we just wanted to present this information to you guys today.
Thank you for your work on that.
What's that?
Thank you for your work on that.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So where in this would like properties in historic districts fall? Or do we need something else for that?
Right. So that would fall under number 3. So that would be that status code, if you will, would follow the existing local category designation. And if a property is a contributing structure, say in a local or national historic district within the city, that also would be applied to that same the same property. So it's recognized as historically significant for the local government, which would be the city of Palo Alto.
I'll add to that because we have, with Professorville at least, we have the locally designated and we have the nationally designated. We also have the Eichler districts that are nationally designated. So those would fall as, at least Professorville would in part fall under number 1 as well for those parts. And then the Eichler districts would fall under number 1 as well. And then there's the Ramona architectural district that would be shown as number 1 and number 3.
So number 1 would apply to properties that aren't necessarily historic, but are
No.
located in a designated historic district? No.
They would only apply to either individually listed national or California register properties that are on those registers, or districts that are on those registers. So we're talking about not eligible, but ones that are on the register, number 1. They're actually listed. So Professorville is listed on the National Register, in other words.
I'm not worried about Professorville. I thought we had National Register districts that weren't on our inventory.
Correct. So,
And I would assume that there are a property or 2 in the Eichler district that they're all historic.
nope.
Okay.
So how the Eichler districts work, I'll just be just a quick overview because it's not on our agenda, but the Eichler districts are listed on the National Register. They are not listed on our local register. There are not individual Eichler homes listed on the National Register individually or on our local inventory. That's it.
Continue and tell me where they fall here.
Number 1.
And that they're in the Eichler districts, they're all contributing structures.
Property being a district, basically.
Got it. Okay.
So no, I mean, the number of contributing properties makes a difference into whether it's a National Register district. So,
Oh, okay.
you
I see.
know, some can be non-contributors, but it doesn't destroy the whole district.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
If there are no more questions on this one, so our plan is to tease this out a little bit more at staff level, figure it out, because what number 5 does is it casts a net beyond just the ones that were built before 1948. So we will have more people asking questions. What does this mean? So, and then and our plan is to basically bring something like this forward to the city council. Likely we'll touch upon it in the consent calendar report that's bringing those other 2 properties that wanted to be on the register, but, told us after the packet was published. So, and then the next item is another update, which is the historic review bulletin, which the HRB approved changes to back in October. And now, we haven't published that on the webpage. We knew we were in this process with the inventory update. And so now Stephen has been taking that on as a tweak to the bulletin. And it dovetails with this potentially eligible conversation we're having. So, that is peppered through the bulletin currently that we looked at in October. And so, Stephen, do you want to say more on that?
Yeah.
Your light isn't on.
Hello. Okay. Sure. So just aligning all of our material that we're providing to the public for consistency. So this is forthcoming. We're going to have to obviously wait to hear what that status determination is for the ultimate rollout of this bulletin. But just as the slide notes, just providing a little bit shorter, succinct sentences, removing that potentially eligible references within the document, and modifying some of the table on the rear or the second page, if you will, of the bulletin for some more legibility and user-friendly. And just a note on the previous slide that we covered too, it's aligning things with the state. And also on that number 5, that would be aligning it with the CEQA resources. So anything, a structure over 45 years of age. So just making sure that we're compliant with, anything state regulations, if you will.
Can you email me a copy?
A copy of what?
Oh, just this the chart we were just looking at.
Oh, so the PowerPoints we publish after the meeting on the webpage for the HRB. We can send you the link of this PowerPoint.
And then the bulletin, I believe that you were requesting, that is still a draft document, so that's not ready for circulation just yet.
But we can send you the one that the HRB reviewed in October of last year, so you can see what the existing one looks like.
But this one where you're showing us now that's too little for me to read. You can't send me that?
Well, I haven't even looked at that yet. So we're in a process at staff. And it relates to, what the Exploration Council asked us to do that we'll be sharing with our director when he returns in August.
And if I may further on that, I mean, it is subject to change. So if we, were to send you the document, perhaps it would not be what is actually advertised once a decision is made. So it's forthcoming change.
So there's good reason to have it too small to see at this point. But we can agendize this for the August HRB meeting. That's kind of our plan.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That concludes this item. Oh, do I have to? Okay.
All right. So moving on to our agenda item. Let's head into the staff report.
Okay, one moment while I upload Stephen's presentation.
All right. Good morning. Historic Preservation Planner Stephen Schweitzer here. This is for the property located at 431 Kipling Street. This is a reclassification request from a category upgrade from a category 4 to a category 2. The location of the property is within the commercial downtown pedestrian shopping combining district in the downtown north neighborhood. It provides a contrast to the larger commercial scale and higher density of the University Avenue and sections of Lighton and Cowper streets. The two-story mixed building has a commercial unit on the first floor and a residential unit on the second floor. A little bit about the construction history. It was built in 1901 by George Mosher for Helen Hawley. And sometime around 1916, the ownership transferred to the Leonard family. Maud Leonard in 1919 commissioned an addition to the residence along with the construction of a garage and the removal of a rear outbuilding. And that's noted here on the Sanborn map images, one from 1924 and the later one that shows that addition in 1948. Following that, in the 1930s, B.S. Gibson purchased the property and converted the lower unit into a window shade store that remained in operation until the 1970s. Following that, in the 1980s, Thought Brothers took ownership of the property, and since that time, Vino Local, a wine bar, has operated in the first floor commercial unit. Here is an image from 1985. Since the 1980s, the structure has, all facades have remained unchanged and there's been no documented alterations on file. A little bit about the builder, George Wilbert Mosher. Was a contractor and craftsman that constructed hundreds of buildings in Palo Alto during the late 19th and 20th centuries. 431 Kipling, it exemplifies the two-story square box that's identified in the Dames and Moore survey building type. And within the larger architectural context, it is an American Foursquare building type with craftsman stylistic influences. And on the slide here are a few structures that Wilbert Mosher had built. One going from right to left, 617 High Street, 1128 Webster Street, and 228 Byron Street. In 1985, the property was surveyed on the local register and identified as a category 4. And categories 4 are identified in our municipal code as a contributing structure. And that means any building or group of buildings which are a good or local examples of architectural styles that also relate to the character of, say, a neighborhood, grouping and scale, materials, shape, proportion. On March 19th of this year, Page and Turnbull prepared a historic resource evaluation for the property and determined that it was individually eligible for listing on the register under criterion 2, 5, and 6. And a little bit about those. Criterion 2 is a structure that's particularly representative of an architectural style or a way of life that was important for, say, the city, state, or nation. And on that, it's an excellent example of the two-story square box house type in the downtown north neighborhood. It's mixed with some colonial revival, American Foursquare, sometimes the vernacular of like Greek revival. Criterion 5 is the architect or building was important, and that is George Mosher, which we covered earlier. He's a builder of merit, if you will, in Palo Alto, prolific, had lots of important contributions to the city and the housing stock here. And then criterion 6 is the structure or site contains elements or demonstrating an outstanding example or attention to architectural design. So as noted, the structure has not sustained any alterations since the 1980s, apart from in the 30s with that conversion of the units or splitting of the residence, if you will, from a commercial and a residential unit on the top. A little bit about the elements of the facade. It has all of the original wood windows, 1/1 double hung sashes. Let's see here, the original transom, checkered mullions, and the shirtwaist belt course with the flared shingle siding and high quality tongue and groove siding as well that are noted on the structure. On May 8th, the Historic Resource Board request was submitted to the city of Palo Alto, and the applicant had formally requested, if you will, a reclassification from a contributing building category 4, which is currently listed on the inventory, to a major building category 2 on the historic inventory. So staff concurs with the findings prepared in the historic resource evaluation that Page & Turnbull had prepared and supports the owner's request and their reclassification upgrade on the local inventory from a category 2 to a category 4. And with that, I can entertain any further questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any board questions on this specifically before we move to the applicant presentation, if there is one?
I'm just curious, it said no major renovations, but, well, aside from the addition, obviously, but the little balcony that's on the right-hand side of the building, to me, it looks like it was probably an addition. Do you have a thought on that? I mean, not that it's major, but I'm just curious.
Sure. So you're talking about the front entrance, the balcony? No. Oh, I see.
I'm sorry. I would assume that was just a shed roof originally and somebody made a little porch up there, but I'm just curious if anybody else has any input on that one.
Well, combing through of the city's records, we did not find anything referencing, say, that balcony addition, but I might defer to the applicant if they have any further information on that.
Or if Page & Turnbull has any additional information? Yes. Yeah.
Samantha,
Hi. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. 1 second. Yes, I'm looking back through the report. Let's see. It's likely. Yes, so the porch was added. I think if you're speaking about the porch on the primary facade, that this
No, I think the question is about the small porch that it appears on the right-hand side of the building in the photo on the screen, yeah, on the second floor.
Oh, okay, got you. I think, let's see. Buildings. Yeah, so I mean, according to Sanborn maps, the building's original footprint shows a projecting bay at the right side. So we believe that porch is original, and it's hard without an early photograph to show if that the upper balcony was there, but it looked like it from what we could tell.
Thank you. I just want to register that when I looked at it, the eaves had been tagged on to above it. So it was an extension of the original building. And the way the porch enclosure sits, the lower enclosure, the way it sits against the windows, my guess is it was probably an addition at some point. And no big deal. I was just curious if there were old photos or anything. Thank you.
All right. Is there an applicant presentation? Okay.
Let me share my screen first. Okay, make sure it works. Great. Good morning, Chair Eggleston Cecilewicz and members of the board. My name is Ken Hayes with Hayes Group Architects. I'll be making the presentation on behalf of my client, Thoit's Brothers, and John Shank. I was notified this morning that John couldn't be here, but he did want me to express Thoit's message that they have a deep care and respect for the community, and they want to express that through this sort of memorializing of these historic buildings that they have and trying to elevate their historic classification. So we can thank the Thoitses for wanting to do this. I also want to thank, well, we already know that Samantha is on the line if we have any questions. And then it's been a pleasure working with Stephen Switzer, the historic planner, and the chief planning official, Amy French, on this. So this is the third building on Kipling that we've brought before you in the last couple months, all owned by the Thoitses. It's listed here as 433, but I'll refer to it from now on as 431. The building to the right of it here is 437, and you under separate action already elevated that to a category 2. And the building here is 431, and you did the same on that when you elevated the building at 271 University a few months ago. So it kind of joins, it has good company anyway. So 431 was constructed as a residential home in 1901 by C.W. Moser. We've heard staff's report on that. He was a prolific contractor and craftsman, built hundreds of buildings in Palo Alto's formative years. The building represents a 2-story square box, which was a common building type for the working class families of Palo Alto. The immediate neighborhood is an early 20th century residential block where all the buildings, as I said, are listed as either a 2, 3, or 4 on the local inventory. And as Mr. Switzer just showed us, the Sanborn maps show that 431 was probably the first structure on this property on Kipling. Front elevation, it's decorated with stylistic elements of colonial revival and craftsman. And other than there is a 1919 rear addition. It's kind of a stair and sorts at the back. The building's really retained its original form. The front porch, the balcony that we just talked about on the right-hand side, exposed rafter tails, Tuscan columns, this shirtwaist belt course that you see in the right-hand photograph there. The flared wood shingles, there's a lot, tongue and groove siding, windows with the checkered mullion pattern, and the OG lugs. In 1985, it was elevated as a contributing building on Palo Alto's inventory to a category 4, as staff just said. And the city recently hired Page and Turnbull to conduct another historic evaluation, which recommends elevating the building to a category 2 major historic resource. The report has determined that the building meets qualifying criteria 2, which is representative of an architectural style important to the city, criteria 5 because of C.W. Moser, and criteria 6 architectural merit and outstanding architectural design and detailing and so on. And although not required for the Palo Alto listing, the building satisfies the concept of integrity, maintaining integrity of location, setting, design, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. So we urge you to support our efforts to memorialize this building and protect this rare opportunity, and support staff's recommendation to council that 431 be elevated to a category 2 historic listing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there public comment on this agenda item?
And not for this item.
Okay. Then I'd like to open it up to any board questions. Or discussion.
I don't know if this falls on either one, but thank you. It's really, we're really grateful to Thoit's for taking care of this block as nicely as they have over the years. It's pretty clear from the photograph where the roof desperately needed repair that they've put a lot of energy and effort into taking care of these old houses. I hope there's some way to convey this to Public Works, because I think the parking lot across the street is not really doing them justice. I've always liked to walk this block. It is conveniently between my house and downtown. So it is someplace I have found myself frequently. And I think with a little more respect from the parking lot, that it would really enhance this particular row of historic houses. And I hope in the future, the board will hopefully make this a historic district. I think there's a lot of potential here.
Anyone else? To me, this request makes a lot of sense. Yeah, okay. So then I'd like to move that we recommend to council that is 431 to 433 Kipling Street be upgraded from a category 4 to a category 2.
I second that.
And for the vote?
Chair Eagleson Cheslowich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Roman,
Yes.
Board Member McKinnon, Board Member McKinnon, I see him twice on Zoom, so I don't know which one with the mic that works.
Board Member McKinnon, you've unmuted and muted yourself. If you're speaking now, there you go. You're unmuted now. You can speak.
No.
Sounds like maybe there are some technical difficulties.
Board Member Pease,
Yes.
Board Member Willis,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, and our final item today is approval of the meeting minutes from the May 9th meeting. Are there any comments or corrections? Nothing? All set? And okay, let's finish this and then I can go back if there's additional public comment. I think I see public comment. So let's take care of the,
He wanted to speak to the minutes.
Oh, you want to speak to the minutes? Oh, okay, then let's open it for public comment now.
Yes, from her Borak.
What it was for. Fine, thank you. Yeah, I have two requests for corrections before you adopt the minutes regarding my comments that I made. The first is at the bottom of page 2. It says that that he noted that the council introduced the first name Frederick. I did not say that. In fact, I said nobody on the council mentioned the name Frederick, and that it was somebody from the city clerk's office that introduced the name Frederick. And that should be clear, because not only did I say it, but you had something in writing from me that said the same thing. The second comment is on, I thought I had, whoops, I thought I had the correct page here, but let me see if I can find it now. It's on page 5. My comments in the middle of the page, where on the 4th line, it refers to public office candidates of identifying themselves as historic figures. I did not say that. I said that identifying themselves as advocates for historic preservation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there additional suggestions for corrections or changes?
I have one. And because Lydia's not here, I don't know if we can clarify this, but on page 82 of our packet, which would be page 9 of the minutes, fourth paragraph, Councilmember Ku. And it says proceed with putting their house on a Mills Act, but they need incentives. I think it's putting it on our inventory is my recollection. She thought that some of the public comments from some of the residents willing to proceed with putting their house on a Mills Act, but they need incentives. So I think putting their house on our inventory, right?
Well, thank you. We can listen to the video to see if she said Mills Act, then it stays.
Yeah, that's
Right?
fine.
If it
Just
was an
let's
error,
clarify.
if
She might have.
Yeah,
I
if the
don't know.
transcriptionist decided herself to put Mills Act instead of what she said, then that would be an error. So we'll check it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, when we do minutes corrections, we don't correct for what people meant to say but didn't say.
No,
Just to be clear.
I didn't intend for you to do that. I just don't remember her as, maybe she did. I don't remember.
She is on the Zoom, but on the attendees. So I just unmuted you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm out of town, so I'm attending by Zoom, but I believe I said the Mills Act because I don't think it was the inventory. I think it was the Mills Act, but I'm going to go take a look at the video myself. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. So I move to approve the meeting minutes from the May 9th meeting, with any corrections for the flagged sections that are identified through further review.
I second the motion.
And
We could do voice
voice
vote.
vote. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Are there any other announcements or comments about board business?
My one announcement, and it's not agendized for discussion, so it's just an announcement, is that I haven't received any additions, subtractions, corrections to the letter to council on the Mills Act pilot. So I am happy to finalize that, but I want to do one more call for comments, and they can be routed through Stephen and Amy. And then I'll make those edits.
Okay, thank you.
I just might add that this could be Mike's last meeting, which is sort of sad that he had his mute microphone, but wanted to say, Mike, thanks for Board Member McKinnon, thank you for your service. If you're hearing this, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Then I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you.
Thank you.